Hey guys, it's V Man, and on this week's edition of the Pizza Rolls, my good friend Martin. Brother, how we doing, man?
What's up? How's it going?
I'm here, man. It's your world. I'm just trying to get by, man.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So, tell me, what have you been up to lately, man? What's been going on, man?
Well, personally, it's been kind of rough and trying. I've had some difficulty with this stump. For those of you who might not know, I did have a leg amputated about 3 years ago, and there's been some complications, some issues with it recently, in recent weeks, and yeah, not fun, but I powered through it and I'm still here. As far as the nerdy stuff, the fun stuff, um, I'm still doing the Nerd in Tech's Home. I had to take a little while off, dealing with the leg stuff and all that mess. And recently, I'm about to take over the Constar Chronicles, the review series over all the many Constar fan films out there. So that's going to be happening pretty soon. Still need to film some of it, getting the stuff worked out, you know. Always got to do that.
Let's you talk about for those that don't know, you had uh, issue with your leg and had to have it removed, much like as you said before, the Nog character, which is one reason why you kind of gravitate toward that character in Star Trek.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I had for those that don't know, I had a back injury and had to have my back operated on. And it's funny how even though in those struggling times that we go through, uh, there are those that they go through their own suffering silently, and they see our struggles and they kind of latch on to us for that inspiration because they see us, and even in our fan films, that we think nobody really watches or pays attention to. Um, they live vicariously through us, and then when they see our real life struggles that we go through, um, much like we saw Aaron, um, we latch onto the Nog character. Like we live those, and we feel attachment um, in those situations. And it's you never know who's going to look at you and see, that guy kept on going, and I can too. In the real life moments and everyday situations are like that. So I think it's really cool that you have gone through the hard times because I see your Facebook statuses, and from time to time I'll reach out, and I'm like, I think I need to check on my boy, make sure he's okay, you know. And there is a lot of strength in seeing someone who is going through something, and it's like I'm not going to let this define every aspect of me. I'm going to keep going, you know. I think there's a lot of encouragement there.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the thing is, okay, we're all going to have, keeping it to G-rated terms, we're all going to have poop days. We're all going to have poop weeks. We're all going to have.
You can be as real as you want, man. I cuss like a sailor. You know me, man. I'm gonna so be as real as you want, man.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, shit happens. You know, lay it out on the table. Shit happens. Sometimes it happens all at once, and we're slammed with, you know, housing problems, health problems, financial problems, vehicle problems, whatever it is. Sometimes it's one thing at a time. Sometimes it's the weight of everything on you. Yeah. Take time, grieve, sit there and go, man, this sucks. Damn, I hate how everything just piled up at once. Take a few days. It's normal. Take up to a week, I'd say. Everybody's got, you know, different time frames on how they process through things and different things that they use to process through things. I'm not advocating anything bad. I'm not saying, go out and get
Right.
drunk and, rob Walmart or some shit like that. But, binge watch your favorite shows, if it helps you get through it.
Well, the worst,
Listen
the,
to
the,
music.
the worst, the worst thing you can do is deny yourself the time to grieve and the time to stress. And
Exactly.
and sometimes you need to step away from everything and detox, from the social media world. And I hate the fact that that's become kind of the go-to. Like, we stress about something and we're like, okay, I need to jump on social media and comment on this. Like, sometimes we just need to go sit out on the front porch and just look out and have a cup of coffee and be like, man, this fucking sucks. And just think. And by the time you're done with that cup of coffee, your whole perspective might change. But just getting away and having a moment to yourself, like, it can be so calming. And I think we're so attached to our phones in our hands, and we're so glued to that screen that we have forgotten that, a moment of clarity in yourself, is so calming and soothing. And but taking that time for yourself to grieve, like you said, sometimes shit hits us all at once. But the thing about coming out that on the other side is, then when the little things hit you, you're like, fuck it, whatever, it's fine, you know. And because I know for me, I mean, hell, you've seen part of the times when, dude, I don't have rent. I'm behind 3 months on my rent. I don't have car payment. How am I going to get to work? But now, like Royce, he does not know any of those days. There's never been a day he's gone without food. He doesn't stress about anything because my priorities are way different. Because I've been through those. I've been through those trials, and I'm not saying that they'll never happen again. I'm sure in some way they'll happen in some capacity. But once you've gone through those hardships, the little things, the nickel and dimes, per se, it's fine, and that those things make you, and it's nice to see. It sucks to see you go through it, but it's nice to see you after you've come out of it and you're like, I got this,
Yeah.
Because you're a great person.
Thank you. I mean, and even from the internal aspect of it, getting to look back on stuff and say, damn, all this shit came on me out of nowhere, or, it just piled on me or something like that. Okay, yeah, it sucks that it happened. Don't get me wrong. But to be able to see where you have progressed, adapted, grown as a person from where you were, I mean, that's like, wow. I'm not I'm not sitting there saying, oh, I want to be, this super role model to everybody who's had a leg cut off or a serious medical problem. But you know what? If somebody can look at my story, look at my status, look at, you know, if it ever gets included into fan films, which I'm still trying to work out how I can do that, you know, if somebody looks at that and goes like, well, shit, this is a dude who's really been through it. Okay, maybe his situation isn't exactly like mine, but maybe I can pick something out of that.
Well,
Pick
and that's
one thing to use to get me through what I'm going through.
Well, and that's exactly like we each take trauma in our own way, depression in our own way, stress in our own way. But like take the Constar stuff. Like you've related to a lot of the stuff that I've put out there. And all of that stuff was just me coping with the shit that I've gone through in my own life. And it's not a direct translation. Eric Menard is not 100% me, but there's enough of me in that character, and the situations have been relatable enough where you're like, I get that, I relate to that, I can cling to
Yeah.
that. And it's the same thing with your character, and what you want to do of make enough of that, put enough of that out there where someone can go, hey, I get that, I relate to that. It's like you, and like I said, you and Nog, like you relate enough to that character because you've gone through that. And there's
Yeah.
something, like I said, that can be taken with, you never know who's watching, who's going to go, hey, because of you, I didn't give up. And those are the things that, sometimes when we focus on, okay, I can't change this, I can't change this, but I can change this aspect. I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to go forward. And then before you know it, those other two things have fallen off and they're not even a factor. And you're like, man, I came out on the other side and I didn't even know it. And those are the things that, are not even true of just shit situations, but just life in general, where it's like, focus on what you can focus on and go forward. And as you know, I am bipolar. I suffer with depression issues, anxiety, and those are the things where it's like when those things hit me, I shut off Facebook. I am so detached that I'm like, nope, I'm going to focus on, you know, I'll watch an episode of The Office or Malcolm in the Middle, and I'll just, something that makes me happy, and do my paperwork here at work, and just in my own little world. I don't focus on social media or anything that's gonna feed into what might make me anxiety, or feed into something that is not productive. And I see you as someone who, you've got a lot up here in the head, and there's so much there to offer someone who, they look and they don't know what to do, and you're like, nah, I've been down this road. Let me give you some advice. And that's what life is about, is just helping other people get to your level of, hey, I've been there. Don't give up, man. So much wisdom there.
I mean, and tying back into other fan films and things that we've been through together over what, 6 7 years, 8 years, something like
I
that
was gonna say
now.
it's been, oh hell, I want to say 2014, I think 2015. So it's been 9 years now. I think I could be wrong, but I think 2015 was when we started the discussion, and then 2016 was when we started actually filming. So, but I think 9 years.
It's been a while. But one of the things that you put out in the first fan film that I was ever in was back in Melbourne. Some of us stand together alone. And at first, it didn't, I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool, but I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, some of us stand on our own together. Yeah, yeah.
And since then, at least me personally, with the shit that I've been through, it clicked. It's like, okay, you're there. You're all the way up in Kansas. I'm all the way down here in Texas. The cast and crew of Melbourne is scattered around the United States. But, even through Facebook, even through its negativity and its not so great influence sometimes, I've got friends around the United States, around the world. We're all alone in our corner of where we live. We're not all together living in the Big Brother house or anything like that, But we come together. There's the community, there's the camaraderie of, hey, like you said earlier, I might make a post, you might make a post, somebody else might make a post. Hey, man, this really sucks. I'm going through it really hard right now. I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end. You alone in your corner of Kansas, me alone in my corner of Texas, someone else alone in their corner of Washington or California or wherever, Russia, sees that post and says, hey, if you need to talk, give me a call.
That's exactly.
And we all come together in that way from our own individual perspectives and locations.
That's exactly the. We talk about Star Trek in how we see the future and where we're going, and you and I, we're 99.9% certain we're not going to live to see the 23rd century or 24th century. Uh, Fingers crossed we will, but we most likely won't. But
Right.
where we are right now in the human condition, we all are basically living out our individual lives. But I'd like to think where we are right now in human development is if we saw somebody on the side of the road that needed help, whether fixing a car tire or starving because they needed a sandwich or something, or little lost kid that needed help finding their parents. Like, I would like to think that the best of humanity would come out in us, and we would help that person out of that situation. We would do the right thing, and that's where some of us stand on our own together comes into play. Is we don't have to wait to the 23rd or 24th century. We do it now. We look at that person on Facebook who is grasping for that last straw because they have nowhere else to go, and they're like, I need help. I need something. I'm not looking for someone to just feed into my compulsion. I need help. I don't have anything. Help me. And that's thing is, like, some people, they can't afford mental health. They can't go to the hospital. They can't they don't have friends around them, and they have nowhere else to turn to except for help. Help me. And that's the thing is, like, I would like to think that in the worst of times for some people, it brings out the best of times for others, and we can help that person up out of the darkness. And that, to me, it's always about hope for a better tomorrow. And now that I have Royce, it's like I've got to believe that more than anything. For a better world for him. And I think especially with the over politicization of the internet and the divisiveness that politics have made us, I'd like to think that we can get to a better day of, helping each other out. I hope we get there, because there's got to be something better than, hey, someone disagrees with me. Oh, I hate you. There's got to be something better than that, and some of us standing around together is, hey, sometimes when we're at our weakest, somebody else can help us out and help us stand on our own,
Well, and like you said, with Royce too, is you lead by example. If you want that better future, you start making it now. You could, I'm not saying that you would, but you could be, completely Mr. Grumpy at home and, and you could be like that all the time. Royce would see that and he would start thinking, oh, well, this is how grown-ups act. This is how grown-ups should be. And when he becomes an adult, he's going to act that way.
No, and
Or
that's
he sees you being a decent person, trying to help others out as you can, trying to be a positive influence. When he grows up, he's going to learn that and he's going to do that.
Well, and
It's as simple as you put out what you want.
that's something parents seem to they tend to forget. They, don't get me wrong, my kid's not perfect by any means. He has soft days just like any other 7-year-old. But like I've seen what happens when parents are a little too aggressive on what they want, without talking shit. Like I don't want to go down that path. I tend to think of, if I have the trust of my son, who knows, hey, even if you're going to get in trouble, tell me the truth, because then at least you're in trouble for the right thing. If you lie about it, now you're in trouble for not only what you did, but now you're a liar too. Don't do that. Like, let's just be honest. And also, if they don't trust you on the simple things now, later on in life, say they knock someone up, no, they're not going to trust you on that. So I'd rather them come and be honest than lie about it or try to hide something. It's like, don't ever hide something. Just be honest. If you make a mistake, he knows, hey, dad makes mistakes, mom makes mistakes,
Right.
and so,
Everybody.
it's, yeah, it's human nature, so he knows those things. It's like, I never come at him from a perspective of, I'm better than you, don't, be more like me. Like, I always tell him, don't be like me. Like, and then you'll be bald, fat, and wanting pizza rolls. Like, don't do that, but like, we want a better future for our kids. But we've got, you're right. You've got to set that example, and you've got to show them what to do, and try to how to be a little better, Yeah. But I will tell you, and this may shift the direction of the talk as much as I've been enjoying it. I will tell you, here's an example, and I'm going to play a clip. Here's an example of someone not to be. Play this clip.
Right.
This may shift the conversation, but here's an example of who not to be.
But she didn't listen. I wonder, was he angry because of the Prime Directive, or because she personally disobeyed him?
Oh, welcome back to the concert, Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Captain.
You see, I know the truth. I know he feeds on the attention of others. He longs for it.
Computer, initiate crying wolf.
So you're gonna get my attention.
Oh boy. Yeah. Somehow I just had a feeling that, it's like, I'm wondering if that's going to come back and bite me in the butt.
I tell you, man, that's one of those scenes that I love. Like, I love that. Like, there's a second version of it where like the red alert's flashing and it kind of hides all the goofiness of us bouncing around, and I love that scene a little better than I love, like, but I couldn't find that one. I was like, ah, to hell with it, I don't care. Like, it's fuck it, who cares? It's a fan film, but I love, but I love the essence of like, this fat fuck, I hate him. I'm gonna beat him off and crash the ship. I love that, man, because you have done, like, for all intents and purposes, like you are the guy who crashed the Constar, and I love that. So well, your character shifted the course for, Menard was captain the Constar, then all of a sudden he jumps to B5, then he jumps to the refit Constar. I mean, that one incident changes everything, because I told B5 stories, but everyone was like, well, what happens? Like, how does that happen? So we had to get to that story, and when I ran that story past, like, hey, this is what I want for your character. What do you think? What was your thoughts when I ran that story past you of like, hey, man, this is kind of what I want for your character and where I want you to go? What were your thoughts when I ran that past you?
Well, initially, my thoughts were, I'm going to get a lot of hate emails. Fans of the whole Constar series and the whole Menard series, how it's been produced and made throughout the years. Yeah, oh boy. I'm going to get those people coming out of the woodwork. You son of a bitch, you crashed the ship and blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, I didn't. But at the same time, I mean, I know it's a lot of actors, you hear them say stuff like this. It's fun to look at your character alternatively. You portray a character one certain way for so long, it becomes routine. To have an alternate take on it, it's like, whoa, wait, this is kind of interesting here. I'm doing something different. And in the Star Trek sense of things, it does show most of the time, the positive aspects. Everybody gets along, everybody's great. Oh, well, the Klingons are acting up this week, or the Romulans or the Vorta, or, throw in alien species 279, and they're starting a problem this week. You don't really see much. I'm not going to say you never see it, but you don't see it much of the human being the problem. Because by that time we're all supposed to be better. Yes, DS9 introduced the Maquis. The Eddington, I think.
Yeah, Michael Eddington. Yeah.
Introduced him as a problem, a thorn in Sisko's side. We had Thomas Riker turning evil, stealing the Defiant. The thorn in Sisko's side. There was, to a lesser degree, almost ideological differences. You had Captain Ransom and Captain Janeway. One chose to uphold the rules of the organization. The other was like, hey, this is kind of sketchy over here, but we need to get home. I'd like to think that, by the time of that future, yes, most of day-to-day human problems won't be a thing, but there's still going to be something that somebody believes this is it, and it's still going to be a problem with other folks thinking, hey, no, that's wrong. And that opened up my character for, hey, wait, whoa. This guy just basically said, that's what I think of you and your ship. Eh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and the hell with the consequences. You know.
Well, and that was one of the things that I enjoyed. Like, not only like we really followed through on that with your guys. We told the story of like we see him in Break Free start off, and we see him on the beginning of this journey. And we make reference with the Drell and how we almost just leave him there because the prime directive.
Right.
And then in this film we make that reference of like you kind of pick and choose and snub your nose when it suits you, but motherfucker, you almost left me. Like, you're kind of a dick, and other people might like you, but I don't. Like, fuck that. Like, that's kind of a callous move, especially if you're the one being left, and maybe these ideals don't really line up with what I thought. And kind of like with Michael Eddington, he's one of the few that actually had a full successful story arc, and I think your character as well, because you follow through with the in the 11th hour. You continue that. Like I think we had one film before the 11th hour where you're like, all right, I'll bring the Maquis with us, and then you show up and like you're integral to that film of us making it. Them making it. Menard doesn't live that long. But I mean, you have a success. I mean, if it wasn't for that, the Menard squad wouldn't have made it. But it really does show that people fluctuate. Good, bad, how they are in life, and at one moment, your friend might be your enemy, and I think DS9 did that really well, and I think the Constar, your character specifically, shows that in life alliances change all the time. That's very true to life.
Well, and that's the thing too is, if viewers out there haven't watched the whole Constar anthology, that there's over 150, 160,
something like that.
If they are not familiar with it or anything like that, yes, my character starts off as the good guy, and thank you for rescuing me. The Borg were attacking. Thank you. The Borg got my family, but I'm gonna press on to, okay, Maquis have talked to me, and they've kind of swayed me to their style of thinking, and yeah, big dude on that ship saved my ass, but he also tried to kill my ass too. Fuck him and his ship, and then it comes back around to, okay, that tense, hey, look, I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to, but we really need your help. Can you please put aside personal differences for the greater good, for the greater picture?
Yeah, we need all hands on deck. We need you here. Can you help? And you reluctantly, you don't necessarily. It's not a positive note that you end on. You're kind of like, maybe, and then you're like, so it's kind of like, but it's us coming to you with our hand in our hat, or hat in our hand, going, Mister, please help us, Mister.
And then it cycles back around, to my character actually being good again, living up to the good ideals, living up to trying to better society and all that. You know, it like you said, it's full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you know, every person, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man.
Yep.
Look at him 20, 30 years ago. Drunk, alcoholic, drug addicted. Hollywood said, man, get out of here. We don't want to mess with you. Might be a good actor, but you bring too much baggage. Bye. He got through that bad spot and became Iron Man. How many people has he inspired in that one role?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like I said, 30 years ago, oh man, we don't want you. Now he's come full circle. He's gotten his shit together. He's gotten his life together. He's gotten away from the alcohol, the drugs, all the negativity, all of that. And he's become a role model. And that's what I think is important with my character. And I'm not, I'm not trying to get the big head of like, oh,
No, but it is. But it is. Like I said, I said earlier. Yeah. Like I said earlier, it's one of the characters. Like everybody has their part in the Constar stuff. Like it's not like even Eric Menard isn't the focal point of the Constar Chronicles. He is a part, but he's not the glue that holds it together. Everybody is the glue because that's life. Right. I mean, we may be central to our story, but he's not central to the Constar story because there's a few films in there that he doesn't even appear in. And in fact, I think one of the films is where you get your commission back. Like I think Russo contacts you and it's like, hey, Menard wanted you to have this.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get your rank back, you get your commission back, but Menard's not even in that film, and the thing, but your character is pivotal to, you crash the Constar where we're all like, you son of a bitch, but then you go back to the 11th hour where you're commanding the Maquis and you're like, look, we can't make it past that Jemadar ship. All remaining Maquis fighters suicide run it.
Yeah.
And they do. And they take it out. And so we're allowed to go past it because you've got that big, that gigantic point of view of looking at everybody going, okay, boom, 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 go. And if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for that one person, if it wasn't for that one person swallowing the pride and going, okay, we're going to go here, we're going to do this. So again, it's not Menard doing it all. It's not him, the hero. It's, hey, we're all playing our part, and we all in life, that's the way it goes. But it's a pivotal part, just like everybody else in that moment. And, that was the key point to why I think the Constar works is because you can sit there and go, man, that's a great moment. That's an awesome moment in history. But there's so many little strings where if you tug on that, the moment falls flat, we don't win. And that's what I wanted for the whole series is like, we all are building to a moment where this is where history's at, and it's so much in our lives are like that, and we all think that we're not important, but we are, every little day, everyday things they matter in the grand scheme of things. And we never know. We all think, oh, well, we're important and we're going to do this and we'll know when the moment is, but we don't know. And until that moment happens,
yeah.
But your character in particular, I really, it holds a key place in my heart because it's, you crashed the Constar, but you also are one of the key components to the battle to retake DS9 for us, because we wouldn't have made it if you weren't directing the Maquis. It's wonderful to me to see that character story arc. But
I know I've said it, personally speaking to you, and I think we've talked about it once before or twice before in one of these review shows and stuff like that. That's why I like personally how you tell the stories. You know, in all of your fan films, it's a human story with a Star Trek wrapper. You know, it's not, oh, let's get the technology of the week and go fight the Borg. No, it's, you know, okay, yeah, let's get the technology of the week, fight the Borg, but what's going on in my mind? You know, how is this stressing out me or the
Yeah.
character facing the situation? You know, what am I dealing with?
Yeah, what are the
You know,
ramifications of dealing with the Borg or dealing with like, and those are the things. It's like it's nice to see us go through the battles per se, because we've had moments of films. I think it was I Warp Prime. The after credits, we see the Destiny flying and attacking. I think we have like a minute where we're actually fighting a Borg cube, but it's more of a, hey, here's a taste of this for those that have stuck around, you know. But we only give you just a taste, and that's it. Because it's like, to me, it's like that's not what our films are about. You know, the 11th hour, we really delved into. This is the climax, but this is the only time we're really going to do that. I don't, for our films, it's more about the psychology of what's happening to the characters around that. To me, you let's tell the psychology of what's happening after Wolf 359. Hence why we did Break Free, which was, let's deal with how would people deal with the, you know, Picard's taken by the Borg. We don't know if Earth exists. How would we do this? If I had more time, I would have turned that into a 2-hour movie of dealing with, or, you know, or a 10 episode arc of, you know, we don't hear back from Starfleet as much, you know, and let's deal with, let's really get to know these characters. Let's really delve into who they are. Let's really delve into, you know, who they are as people, and the stress of, we can't take any more people, but we've got all these people rushing up to us because they're running out of power. Who do we pick and choose? Like, there's so much story potential there of being the only ship rescuing survivors, and we don't even know if we're going to be rescued because now we have a drain of resource. Like, to me, that's Voyager, but you're still in Starfleet space, and you don't even know if Earth is going to be there, and yet alone if all these other Starfleet planets are going to be dropping like flies because Borg. And to me, it's like that. It always started as like Battlestar Galactica, except in the Star Trek universe. And to me, like, that story is so appealing, and that has nothing to do with fighting the Borg. Everyone wants to fight the Borg, and to me, like, that is not even that is not even what I want to do from a story perspective. To me, doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather get to know the characters and the ramifications of that fight. That's more interesting to me, and that's something you could do on a budget that we have. You know, that's what we can do. You know,
you know, a couple of pizzas and 2 liters of soda. And
that's it, man. And we can go to town. We're that's it. That's it. So one thing I did want to ask you, and we can kind of delve into. I trust you not to go too spoilery, but I know that you. We can talk and kind of drop little hints here and there. But you've read, I take it, all of the script of Constar, the motion picture.
Most of it, yeah.
Most of it, okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, so some of it might not be so fresh on the mind, you know. But yeah,
but you know enough to fake it.
Pretty much, yeah.
What was your take on the story as a whole, and then your inclusion in for that scene? What was it like coming back and seeing the overall story as opposed to where we left off from Constar Chronicles? Because I've been very tight-lipped on just even talking about Constar, the motion picture. But you're one of the few that I've sent the entire script to and said, here you go, man, take a look at it. If you're interested, got this scene. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, okay, there's a lot in it. Let me put it that way. I mean, there's a lot in the Constar, the motion picture, because whew, it's kind of like a coming back home, I guess you would say, for my part, personally. Of like, you know, getting the crew back together, or the crew that we have left. Michael Sylvester, I miss you, man. You know, it does have very season 3 Picard vibes of, getting that familiarity back, getting that family of the crew back. It it's very touching in that sense, because when the Constar series, or amalgamation of fan films, or whatever you want to call it, whatever CBS will allow us to call it, when it ended, it's like, it's over. That's it. I'm still going to see these people that I worked with over so many years. Yeah, I'm still going to see them on Facebook and stuff like that. But for us to actually work together in a fan film, even if, we're filming our parts, in Washington, in Maine, in Texas, and Kansas, and all that, but to be assembled into a finished product in one thing, I didn't think it was going to happen again.
Yeah, there was a definite in the final film, which ironically titled "Some of Us Stand Our Own Together." There was a definite period on that one. There was a definite finality to it. Of this is the final film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's not just you, it's everybody that I've worked with, on this. Wow, I'm not going to interact with that character again. I'm not going to be in that area again. Yes, I can, you've given us the ability, the blessing to carry on our own characters if we wanted to, and add to their story, and go off and do our thing. But the group wouldn't get back together, and for the motion picture, coming out like this, it's, wow, we're back. Again, even if we're all doing our parts from wherever we're located on the globe, even if somebody's filming their part in Brazil and it's getting edited with the part in Kansas, and then the next scene is the part in Texas, we're back together.
Yeah. There's a certain, because I've sent you a couple of the scenes.
Yeah.
What's your take on some of the scenes that I've sent? Does it feel a little bit different than the other Constar films?
It does, but yet it doesn't, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
the the storyline, the personal aspect of it is still the same. It's still a personal story. Some of the scenes that I've seen you know, you hired a better editor. I'll say that, you know. we're not I guess you would say not pressed for time as much. So some things are, lining up a little bit better with special effects, editing, stuff like that.
Well, that
You
was
can
that.
definitely tell. I'm not saying that you didn't love the previous Constar stuff, but you can tell there is more poured into this one.
Well, that was when I retired from fan films, which is almost been 2 years now. Um, that was the one thing that, like, a lot of people said, "Oh, he's not retiring from fan films. He's gonna come back." Like, the thing about this film is, like, this isn't. I like if I don't put this on YouTube, I don't give a shit. Like, if this is just simply a film for me and those who've acted in it, I'm okay with that. Like, this is a father-son film. So
Right.
I'm not out to impress anybody. This is me showing Royce, this is how we make a film. This is how we do, because he knows bits and pieces. And when he started this, he knew bits and pieces because he was learning, obviously, from other stuff. But he was still young. But he now knows how to light a green screen by himself. He knows how to set the camera up by himself. He knows how to go, like, he knows how to set the tripod up. Like, he knows now how to do these things. So this isn't me coming out of retirement. This is me showing my son, this is how we do things, and thinking
Right.
how to do the scene, and knowing this is what the background is that we'll have in place. This is how we have to film it, and do the camera and tilt it, and so it's me giving him the experience that I've come from 160 films plus experience, and sharing that with him. And like I said, if this never comes out on YouTube, I'm okay with that. This is me just, hey, here you go. I mean, I'm sure it probably will, but I'm not 100% decided. If it's this to me is a more personal film, and this was something that I wanted to take the time to get there. I mean, which is why I said, hey, we'll shoot in September, the final scene, which is all of us coming together. But this is what we all can shoot at home, and then we all have our scene where we do come together. Because I did want it to have the I wanted it to, for all of us, a thank you to all of us, to have that kind of family reunion aspect, and then have our bridge moment, without being
Right.
too spoilery. Yeah, I wanted us to have that moment where this is our reward, and get together, and then Royce can see all of us on set doing our thing, and again continuing his growth as maybe a future director, or just learning how things are done properly, and from people who are more talented than I am, like Josh or Greg Mitchell, you know, um, but getting to see it in action, because he's been to the bridge before and he's seen Avalon work, but to see it done on a film that he's in, and the focal point, because this is a very Eric and Eobard heavily story, um, but I this is very much a father-son story that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, it's a passing of the torch, basically. I mean, it's, hey, you know, I'm basically at the end of the road of my story. Let's start with yours, or let's continue yours, with a
Yeah.
little bit you started. Let's keep on with that, and like I say, it's, without giving away too much or anything like that, it's a passing of the torch. It's a learning experience in that passing of the torch. And it's a hopeful message, that, hey, if this is what you choose to do, great. If you choose to do something else, that's equally as great. You know, it's up to you. I've given you the tools to make your own future and to make it as great as you can. You know, people, again, going back to it, people may help you along the way. They may stab you in the back along the way. People can change. Someone who stabbed you in the back may turn around and be your best friend later on. Your best friend now may be the one stabbing you in the back a couple of months from now or years from now. You know, it's like a learning experience, almost. It's that reunion of everybody coming back together, but it's also a learning curve.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
It's definitely something that I find really positive. Because when I left fan films, it was like I had grown kind of disgusted with the toxicity of the environment that it had become for a lot of people, and the drama behind the scenes. And this focusing on what I loved about fan films and the positivity, I think it reflects in the script. Like you said, there's a lot of Picard season 3 vibes in it. Not like that right there was a lot of inspiration for what I was like, man, I connected with that story so much because I hated the first 2 seasons of Picard. I didn't like them. I mean, there were elements that I thought were okay, but overall, I thought that the first 2 seasons sucked. But season 3, I loved it because it was everything that I loved about Star Trek, except it matured with me as a person.
Right.
And I feel like it reflects in the script because I, of course, I'm a father, and I'm matured as a father, and I've matured as a person, and I wanted to take what I loved about fan films, since I've retired and have kind of just walked away from fan films. So I don't really look at a lot of fan films anymore, or connect much with that community. I kind of just keep my distance from most everything and just tunnel vision. I look at my friends and my life, and that's it. But I feel like the script kind of reflects that. And the story does, because it's between these 2 characters, a father and son, and at the heart of it, that's what it is. And then reconnecting with these old friends. Some of them are still as friends, some of them aren't. And how do you reconnect with people who you've lost touch with? And then at the end of the story, like, there is a larger concern, and how do you deal with that? And I enjoy that because it's very symbolic of what's happening today in the world. For so many people on so many levels. And it was a real treat to have you come back in this story, in not only your scene, but knowing that you're going to be there with us in September. Because, you being the guy that crashes the Constar, it's like, gotta have that guy back, gotta get him there, But I'm really glad that you've been, like you said, you've been there since Melbourne. You've been there since basically my first production, and you're here with me now. And you.
The reason I keep coming back is the stories that you tell. Like I say, they're human stories. It's not all like, oh, flashy, oh, look at this gizmo, look at this piece of tech. Oh, yeah, we're going to, whatever techno babble you can come up with. It's not that. It's got that in it. Don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be a Star Trek story without, oh, reverse the polarity of the flux capacitor and, get the dilithium crystals up and make some decaf out of that, whatever. Whatever techno babble, it's got to have it to be Star Trek. But the stories that you write, and I'm not trying to, V-Man is the god, he's the best writer ever. No, I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is the stories that you write are relatable. They're understandable. you know, people can connect with them. Like you said, with my situation, I connected with the character of Nog on DS9 because of he was going through that, and the portrayal was so spot on to what I was feeling in myself that I could connect with that. I could sit there and, you know, I watched those 2 episodes, the siege of was it AR-558 or
I think so.
four?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I
whenever they start getting numbers and letters, I'm like, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The siege one, and It's Only a Paper Moon. Those 2 episodes I connected with because, like I say, it got in me. I could see that character on the TV screen going through something that I'm going through. You know, yeah, I'm not on some godforsaken asteroid getting my leg blown off by space aliens, with a laser beam. No, but I can understand what he's going through. I can understand when he gets back home how he wants to isolate.
The feelings of the story is what's more important. It's not the actual the wrapper, as you and I have talked about it before. The wrapper is not as important as what the emotion, the feelings, the human connection, no pun intended, of what the characters are going through. Like everything else doesn't matter. The wrapper doesn't matter. It's like you and I've talked about before. When I write a script, I write dialogue. I don't write I write very little happens on a ship, happens on the bridge. Like I'll write that for the editor or maybe as a mental note. But if we have to change it okay, we're changing it from the bridge to on the planet. Like that's about as much thought as I put into it because I'm like, I don't care. The point is, Menard is talking to Ruiz, and that's it. Like the conversation is what's important. Where they take place, I don't give a shit. If it's on the bridge or it's in 10 forward, I don't give a fuck. Like they're talking. That's the important part, That's what we connect to on these characters,
And that's why, personally, I come back to your stories. You can sit there and you can just pop something up and be like, hey man, I got this idea. What do you think about this scene? And I'll come back to it, because if it's good, if it's done right, there's been a couple of scenes I know you've been like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm like, well, I think we need a little tweak over here on this. I think we need an adjustment on this, something like that. And you're like, give me about a week. I'll, send you back what I've got. Tell me what you think. You get it. You get the, gist of what I'm trying to say, what I'm feeling and stuff like that. That's why, like I say, I'm not trying to boost your ego or anything like that. But that's why I come back to your stories, because they're human. They're perfect.
Well, the thing about writing, for especially the fact that now that we all have at least half a decade of friendship, is it's easy to write for your guys' characters because I just write you guys, and I'm like, what would Martin say during this? Oh, okay, I'll write this, and then like it's fun because I can write some of your guys' real life elements of your personality in there, and I mean it's simple, and that's why I feel like your guys is that's why you guys come across as realistic, and it's because you guys are, one, talented people anyway as actors, but two, you guys are playing yourselves in a sense. I mean, that's the only, like, people say, oh man, you're such a good actor, and I'm like, I'm not a good actor. I mean, maybe if I'm playing the Phantom, that's because I'm not a a dickhead guy who stabs people, but like, as far as Eric Menard goes, it's like, no, I'm just being myself. And that's why, like, writing, like, I'm not a very talented writer. I would just say that I'm writing. What would I say to Martin in a conversation? Then, like, oh, okay, let me just type that up. Here you go. What do you think, Martin? And then you're like, oh, let's tweak that. Okay, no problem. Because it's your character. I would never disrespect, like, you by saying, no, you will do this. It's like, here's the overall story. What do you think? And then let me tweak this to fix what you want. Because I know when I've had people message me and they're like, hey, I want Menard to beam down to a planet and shoot up a bunch of kids. And I'm like, are we talking about the Phantom, or like what? Why would Bernard do that? Oh, because it's cool. And I'm like, oh, block. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you? What? So I would never do anything that would be out of character for your guys's. But we've been here for almost an hour. I'm gonna let you go. We got to save something for next time. But we will get you back on here in a couple of months here, and shoot the shit again on some stuff. Real quick, do you have anything? You said you are doing the review of the Constar series. Is there any films in particular that you're excited to review for that?
Oh my gosh.
Because I honestly, I'm eager for your critiques. I know you said you're like, I don't really want to step on your toe, but me, I'm like, nah, step away, dude. Like, I'm interested in being torpedoed. Because I know you never say anything intentionally spiteful, and you're always going to put your best thought forward. Like, I know you'll give me the good and the bad. Like, but is there any film in particular, or films that you're interested in reviewing particularly?
To narrow it down, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, because there are so many out there, and there are so many that are super good. Shoot, I guess I would say some of the mirror episodes and some of the ones with the Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to getting into those, and especially where we have Eric and the Phantom in the same scene or in the same film,
kind of clashing. Yeah
seeing that interaction, seeing that headbutting, those would probably be the ones that I'm looking forward to the most.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always going to be some that are, going to be that cheesiness. I'm bad with names, so
yeah, me too.
But there was one where you're filming it in like a park in town, and like on the pavilion or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a Saturday or Sunday, and it was real windy at first, and can't really hear what everybody's saying. Mm-hmm. And then in one of the scenes, there's like just random cars driving down the street. And it's like, okay, it can be explained away that you're actually, like in a holodeck or something, and it's a recreation of the park, but damn it, that's a Chevy Lumina in the background there. What the hell? This is supposed to be the 24th century. I doubt a Chevy Lumina made it 500 years into the future,
Well, they're built to last, Martin. They're built to last. You come on, man.
Not the one that I had.
Well, I look forward to hearing those I look forward to hearing those nitpicks because you always have good insight on the films, man. And when I talked to you about doing those, I got really excited. So like I said, man, you're very smart on a lot of these things, and hearing the good with the bad. You've never streamed one way of the butt kissing mentality. You've always said, well, this worked, this didn't, and I look forward to hearing that, because you'll be straight on that. So I look forward to hearing that, man. And
I'm not going to be overly praiseful, but I'm not going to all right, damn, this is the third scene that already. Come on, Yeah, I try to be as fair as possible, with the good and the bad. A lot, there's more good than bad. Sometimes, it may swing the other way. But I try to be as fair and take myself out of it, myself personally, and just, go for the straight facts. Here's the review. Here's the facts. Go for it. I try to be as impartial as possible.
well, good deal, man. Well, I look forward to that. I'm sure the audience will too. And on that note, I think we'll cut it now. So I want to say thank you, Martin, for joining me. We'll have you back, like I said, here in a couple months. Have you back and see what's going on then. And for the audience, I want to say thank you for joining us. And we'll see you guys next week. And on that note, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.
Take care of each other.